Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Happy Friday and happy Halloween, everyone. Meteorologist Stone Schaefer here live for our 2 p.m. First Alert weather live stream. I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. It's obviously been a decent day in terms of weather. There's been some light rain moving in from the west. That's a lake effect rain, but really hasn't reached any farther than maybe Genesee County, and even that's been pretty light. If anything is falling in that area right now. As we take a look outside right now, this is downtown Saginaw, where we are seeing some heavier cloud cover start to roll in. Again, I'm not going to count out some light rain trying to make it into sort of the Bay region here over the next hour or so. It's, again, very quick if anything does make it, but it is there with that lake effect rain. And then as we get through the rest of the afternoon, should be cloudy. We'll continue to increase that cloud cover as we get through this Friday. Now, looking at Pinpoint Doppler, it does show some rain moving through our counties here in mid-Michigan. Again, as we move down to the south, some into southeast and southwest, Lapeer and Genesee counties. Again, I think if anything's falling in those areas, it is very light at this point into the afternoon. But something that you will notice, you may have to just run into any shops you're going into or turn on the windshield wipers as you're getting over the next hour or so, but should quickly move out. And then our other area of rain, this is that lake effect rain that has continued to develop, but really is struggling to reach that 127 corridor. Even at this point, I think about an hour ago, that was our best chance. We'll see how this continues to develop, but it does look like this should be the case. If you do get rain, it's going to be out towards 127, and it's going to be very quick, very light, should be out of there, shouldn't ruin any of the plans that you have, whether that be trick-or-treating, just hanging out with friends or family, or Friday Night Lights as we get to the first week of playoffs here for this Friday. I did want to pull back, though, just a little bit with some of that cloud cover is starting to really build itself in. If we do get more heavy clouds, that's where we could see that rain chance here over the next couple of hours. Then I wanted to zoom out a little bit more just to look at sort of the landscape of the atmosphere when it comes to the Great Lakes region, out to the Midwest, and into the Northeast. So we still have really 3 lows in the area. Obviously, now post-tropical Hurricane Melissa is now just a low pressure system in the Atlantic Ocean heading up towards Iceland and Greenland, and then maybe eventually towards the UK, so staying away from the United States. We also have this low pressure system now into the northeast portions of the United States, into northeast Canada. This is right here, I'm pointing it out there on the screen. That's on the far left portions, that low still spinning there. It's going to continue to move to the north. We also have another low pressure system that's now in Minnesota that is bringing snow to the Dakotas, maybe even into western Minnesota. That's going to start to move sort of south-southeast as we get here over the next couple of days. May end up bringing a rain chance as we get into Monday, but I think that low stays far enough away. It may not have much of that impact as we get in, at least through the weekend. It's slow enough that we actually have a pretty nice weekend lining up across the next couple of days. So if you have any weekend plans, obviously U of M, they're playing Purdue, and then Central versus Western down in Kalamazoo this weekend. Just a few of the games going on. And I know there are a few playoff football games that are on Saturday. That's something we start to see more and more as we dig into the playoff time for high school sports. Now, as we get back to mid-Michigan, temperatures mostly in the upper 40s and lower 50s. We are seeing a little bit of that warmer trend in the 50s here in the 2 o'clock hour. It's 50 in West Branch, 51 in Standish and Caseville. You have 52 and 53 there in Saginaw, Flint, Owasso at 53. You have areas like Lapeer into Huron County and Sanilac County, some areas trying to get to the lower 50s at 54, Marlette 54 in Lapeer. Then Clare leading the way right now at 55. So really just sitting again in those mid to lower 50s and upper 40s. I think the big factor for the day outside of those light rain chances has definitely been the winds. If you've been outside, you're definitely noticing those sort of stronger winds blowing from the north-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then when we look at our wind gusts, they're right around 15 to maybe 30 miles per hour. So definitely a noticeable wind as we're getting out and about here on our Friday. Gary says, Happy Halloween 2025. Happy Halloween to you. Again, happy Halloween, happy Friday, happy going into the weekend for everyone in mid-Michigan. Again, hoping to have some pretty nice weather here over the next couple of days. But in terms of winds, definitely noticeable right now. That does change though. By tonight, I think by 6 to 7 p.m., our winds should be on the calmer end. That's a good change compared to maybe what models had earlier in the week where it looked like we could have a windy weekend. That is flipped just a little bit. I think that low pressure system stays a little bit too far west and that low pressure to the east stays a little bit too far east, giving us some calmer winds here into the weekend. Now, I did want to quickly highlight as we get through tonight into tomorrow morning, so after our trick-or-treaters have gone in to collect their candy, sort it out, give the best candy to yourself and the worst candy to your siblings, your mid to lower 30s, getting below freezing in a few locations, something we've been seeing on and off here for the last couple of days. Obviously, last weekend we had lower 30s and upper 20s, so it's just that trend for this time of year that we do see our low temperatures back into those lower 30s. This actually is a little bit below average, but not by much, only a few degrees there. And looking at our Halloween forecast before we get to those lows, definitely shows, I'd say, decently nice conditions for any trick-or-treaters. Obviously, if you're someone that wants to stay warm, bring those warm clothing, but I don't think it's at that temperature range where it's going to ruin your costumes. May make your costumes a little inflated if you are wearing a sweatshirt underneath. But upper 40s as we start trick-or-treating, dropping into the lower 40s by the end of most of our trick-or-treating times. Obviously, check your local sort of times. Every city's just a little bit different when they sort of want trick-or-treaters out roaming the streets. But should be mostly cloudy. Most areas, if not a majority of mid-Michigan, will be dry. Again, I'm not going to count out an isolated shower if you're trick-or-treating out towards 127 in sort of the central counties of mid-Michigan. In our hour by hour real quick, we'll show that a chance of rain towards mid-Michigan as we get through those later hours of the afternoon. It's a very small chance, but it is there, and then that will last through the night into our Saturday. And then as we head into your weekend here on your weekend planner, pretty nice days. Again, there is those isolated rain chances for Saturday. How far east do they reach? They're going to be lake effect rain. I think it's going to be the question that has to be answered throughout the day. I wouldn't cancel any of your Saturday plans though. Just be prepared. You may come across a quick rain shower on our Saturday. Then Sunday, definitely the dry day. Temperatures maybe a little warmer than what we had for Saturday, with temperatures on Sunday back into the upper 40s and lower 50s by the time we hit 2 to 3 p.m. May see some more sun, but I think it's going to be partly to mostly cloudy through a majority of Sunday, and then staying that way through Sunday night. And then we can see for winds, they are calmer. For Saturday, a northwest wind, very light. I think 5 to 10 may be appropriate as we get through the day. And then Sunday, it's a southwest wind, 5 to 10. So the biggest change in terms of winds for the weekend is that direction will be mostly out of the southwest as we get through Sunday. And then obviously a rain chance on Monday we'll see on our 7-day forecast. We'll have to see how winds do set up. I do also want to highlight Saturday into Sunday. Make sure you drop those clocks back an hour. It is that time of year, so just a reminder of that. We'll have more information on that here in just a little bit, but that is something going on this weekend. You get an extra hour of sleep. I think most people are pretty happy with that. And then beyond the weekend into next week, again, that rain chance for Monday, 50s for pretty much all of the start of the week. It's by midweek. We'll have another low pressure system that looks to lower our temperatures back into the lower 50s and 40s, and also brings in some more rain chances. Looks to be more scattered for Wednesday, and right now lake effect-ish on Thursday. Again, there's still some time. That may end up changing. Low pressure systems will sort of figure themselves out as they move closer to mid-Michigan. Could be a little bit farther south than what's anticipated, and that would maybe give us lower rain chances through mid next week. But with that, I am going to take a quick break right now. Once we come back from that break, I'm going to be looking at a few of the Friday Night Lights forecasts, and then we'll also be looking forward to November, some of that setting time back for the weekend, and just much more across the weather here in Michigan. So make sure you stay right here. Well, welcome back, everyone. Meteorologist Stone Schaefer here for the second part of our First Alert weather live stream here for your Friday afternoon. We're going to start off looking at our game of the week. It's Michigan Lutheran Seminary versus Novell. That game, obviously, first round of the playoffs. Two teams at 6-3 and 7-2. Looks to be a pretty nice fall-like football weather for tonight. Kickoff at 7 p.m. You'll have mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures upper 40s to start the game, dropping into the mid 40s by the end of the game, and then calming winds through the game. By the end of the game, I think it'll be a northwest wind at 5 to 15, so not really dealing with those stronger winds like maybe we have a few weeks here through the regular season. So that's a good change for this sort of, so as we get to the important games of the season with the playoffs, as teams could try to survive and keep their season going just a little bit longer. Another game I wanted to quickly highlight, that is Clare versus Swan Valley. So another game here in the Saginaw area. Clare at 6-3, Swan Valley at 8-1. And very similar forecasts, mostly cloudy to cloudy skies. Temperatures at kickoff at 7:30 p.m. That's one of those kickoffs a little bit later, so 7:30 for that Clare Swan Valley game. It'll be in the upper 40s at kickoff, dropping to the mid 40s by the end of the game. Let's highlight another Friday Night Light football game. It is Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart versus Beale City. Sacred Heart at 5-4, Beale City undefeated at 9-0. Very similar forecast, mostly cloudy there in Isabella County. Temperatures in the mid 40s at kickoff, dropping into the lower 40s at the end of the game. So just a tad bit cooler if you're going to any games out towards 127. And again, you may catch a stray shower at kickoff. I think that's going to be the best time frame. And then I think as you're heading home, you may catch a stray shower. So I'd bring the rain gear just in case. You do get maybe just a bigger cell of lake effect rain moving into some of those games out towards 127. But for the most part, you should be dry and be able to enjoy that game. Another game that we have going on in the area, that's Oxford versus Grand Blanc. Kickoff again at 7 p.m. Mostly cloudy skies there. Temperatures upper 40s at kickoff to the lower 40s by the end of the game. You'll have a northwest wind at 5 to 15 miles per hour. So again, calmer winds across the region. And then our final game we're going to just highlight real quick. It's Yale versus Frankenmuth there. Yale at 5-4, Frankenmuth at 8-1. It's very similar. Kickoff at 7 p.m., mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures upper 40s, dropping into the lower 40s. Again, I'd bring some sort of warmer gears. If you do get a wind gust, wind chills, lower 40s, upper 30s. Definitely going to feel brisk out there as you're sitting at those Friday Night Light games. And again, pretty similar across the board if you're going trick-or-treating. Just a very similar forecast all across mid-Michigan. I think, again, if you're going to a game west of 127 or at 127, you may deal with an isolated lake effect rain shower during some of these games. But going back to what we can expect here for the next couple of days, some more outlooks into the weekend in November. I did want to look at actually a tropic tracker just real quick. Obviously, Melissa now is post-tropical. It's not at the strength of a hurricane. It's still moving north-northeast. It's at 48 miles per hour. Really picked up speed yesterday, that low-pressure system, as it traveled through the Atlantic to move past Bermuda. It's having winds still around 85 miles per hour with gusts up to 105. So definitely still making some sort of choppy waters there in the Atlantic and across our coastline on the eastern half of the country. And again, that low will continue to move north-northeast. It'll move towards Greenland and Iceland, and then it looks like it's going to be just north of the UK. So if you have, obviously for someone that looks towards Europe, sometimes those lows will start to track east and impact sort of the UK and then into Europe. Right now it looks like it wants to stay north of Europe with its track. Again, could change, but for now, that's what models have continued to project with post-tropical Melissa. Now, I do want to remind everyone for this weekend, you're going to make sure you turn those clocks back at 2 a.m. on Sunday. Make sure you test those smoke alarms. It's a good idea. And the sun sets just a little bit earlier as we get through this time of year. So I actually want to look at the stats for that. Sunset today, or sunrise, today, was at right around 8:06 a.m. with sunset at 6:32 p.m. As we get past the weekend, once we turn those clocks back, sunrise starting as early as Sunday will be at 7:12 a.m. with your sunset on Sunday being at 5:25 p.m. So definitely a lot earlier of a sunset. You're going to be noticing those darker skies earlier into the afternoon. And then just a little bit farther in the future, in 3 weeks, our sunrises will be right around 7:30 a.m. with our sunsets right around 5:08 p.m. And then for Thanksgiving into the next month, your sunrises will be at 7:44 a.m. and your sunsets at 5:02 p.m. So obviously, just those very early sunsets as we get through the next couple of months, something we just obviously used to living this far north here in Michigan. Now, I wanted to look towards November. Obviously, we're getting at the end of October into November, so I went and collected a few of the stats that we might get here in November. So our normal high temperatures, they start right around 53 degrees. We're actually right there as we start the month. And then by the end of November, we actually drop our average high temperature right to 40 degrees. So continuing to lose about 13 degrees for our average high temperatures as we move through the month. Last month, I think it was around 15 degrees. So it's just that time of year. We get into winter time, we lose that temperature. In terms of rain chances or rain averages, we average right around 2.25 to 2.5 inches of rain through the month of November. So something we'll obviously want to keep an eye out with that drought still really sitting there across much of Michigan. Luckily, we've actually improved here in mid-Michigan in some counties. So getting 2.25 to 2.5 inches of rain could really help through the month. It's also really our first month with an average snow. It's right around 2 inches to about 3.5 inches of snow we typically get in the month of November. So what does the Climate Prediction Center say for the month of November? In terms of temperatures, they're putting us right in that sort of equal chances of being above or below average. I think for the month, it's going to be, we got to watch for those low pressure systems, see how they set up across the region. If we do get a few more lows than sort of normal, that's where we could get below average. If we really stay calm with higher pressure through the month of November, that's where we end up seeing above average temperatures. I will say we're starting off with almost 2 low pressure systems moving through, so that may end up starting us below average by mid next week. We'll see. Again, there's still some time. We'll see how things develop here over the next couple of days, but that may end up ticking us maybe below average as we head towards that first full week and first weekend or second weekend of November. In terms of precipitation, we also sit in that sort of equal chances of being below average or above average when we look at percentile for precipitation. So we'll see again how things set up. It's all going to matter how low pressure systems move through the Great Lakes states through November, how they set up with rain and how they set up with snow. I do think, though, as we look out to the northwest towards the Dakotas and Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming, seeing above normal precipitation there expected. I think that may be a sign that we get some more low pressure systems developing through that area. They will reach us, and that will give us a chance for some rain and snow through the month. So that's always something you can sort of predict is, hey, if they're predicted to be a little bit higher average, maybe that means we end up there. Again, though, if we can get some high pressure from the south, that could change things as we get through the month of November. Well, no questions in chat. I see we're going to take a look at our 7-day forecast. Once again, to end our stream, it's 50s and 40s for the next 7 days. A reminder, once again, to move those clocks back Sunday morning at 2 a.m. In terms of the weekend, we look to have a nice one. It's 40s and 50s. Some lake effect rain for Saturday, but for the most part should be dry. And then into the new work week, it's 50s from Monday through Thursday, returning to the 40s maybe by Thursday into Friday. We also see those rain chances on Monday and through the midweek. But I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday. Hopefully you can enjoy Friday Night Lights, playoff games, and Halloween. And hopefully you can enjoy a nice weekend with some calmer weather.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.